Guys, welcome to your 5th MySQL tutorial in this series. And in this series I'll be going over data types. But before that, I just wanted to say that I just reached 100 subscribers and I was like, yeah, whoa! I know that's not a ton, but man, that makes me happy. So thanks for subscribing. Really appreciate it. And I'm going to keep doing this. And apparently people enjoy this, or they will probably not enjoy it, but apparently people watch this or they wouldn't be subscribing. So that makes me happy. And also, I got a new scenery around me. I moved to my basement because it's a lot cooler down here. So yeah, let's get started. Alright, for data types, there's 3 main kinds, and I'll explain what they are. So just hold up. Alright, now, when you enter something into a database, it has to have a type of what it is. So as for that, let's say I enter, hello, my name is Caleb. That's obviously not a number, and it's obviously not a date. So it's a string. But if I enter a number like 2007, then that'd be a number. But if I'm talking about 2007, the year, then it would be dates. So that's the difference between these two, and I'm going to be breaking these up into more specific options, and then I'll be explaining them. So the first one is string. Here are all of the string data types. I'm going to be explaining these. Alright, just think binary, var binary, and blobs. Those are all for binary data. So, binary is sort of like the equivalent to char, which is just a string of text, but it's in binary. And so we'll be going over these 3 right here later, and I'll be using them in examples, and then I'll be explaining these ones here. So I'll just erase these for now. Just binary, var binary, and blob. The very first one here is char. And I'll also be doing varchar together because they're very similar. Now, basically, char and varchar hold a set number of characters for an entry in a database, such as, hello, my name is Caleb. So it looks like this. So, char, and then in parentheses, we'll have a number, such as 45. That means this entry of char, which is just a data type, is 45 characters long. So, hello, my name is Caleb. I have no clue, maybe 20. That would be 20 characters of the 45. So, there's a difference between char and varchar here. And that is, char will space it so it takes up all 45. So let's give it a smaller example of char equals 4. And I enter hi, just like that. Alright, if I use the data type char, it'll pad it with 2 extra spaces to take up the 4 spots. Varchar, on the other hand, will just store it as hi. So if I have varchar 4, it can take all those extra spots and just get rid of them. And then when you store spaces in a varchar like this, if I stored hi with 4 spaces, it would store those. But see, if I stored hi with char and then retrieved it again, it actually removes these spaces to show you the original input. So to explain that a little bit more, if I put into a database, hey, and 3 spaces right here, just like that. If I use char, let's say 7, it'll pad it with another space here, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it'll put that 7th space in there. But when I retrieve it, it'll erase all the spaces and give me the original entry. But if I use varchar, on the other hand, check that out, varchar 7, and I store in hey with 3 spaces, it'll store whatever I put. So it's fine that it's only 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's what it will store. And then when I retrieve it, these spaces will still be there. So let's say our data type is char with a limit of 3. And we enter in horse as a string. It'll cut off all the extra characters so it'll only have 3 in the entry, which leaves us with whore, which we don't want that. So varchar will also do the same thing if you put too many characters in. Now when you choose a data type, you have to consider some other things. For example, the max amount of characters or letters you can enter in a char is 255. So if you're writing a huge book, that's not going to work. Varchar, the max is 65,535. Although, when we go into the next data type, which is text, that will have some more options. So using this many characters for varchar is not always recommended. There are 4 types of text. We have tiny text, text, medium text, and long text. And the difference between these each one can store more data. So tiny text, the max is 255. This one's 65535 characters, and characters just like a letter or any key entered into the database. Medium text, it's like 16 million, and then long text is like 4 billion, I think. 4 billion so much. So when you're getting to really long things, you're going to have to use medium text and long text. But when you're using shorter ones, you'll need to stay up here. Now, if you remember what we just went over, varchar and char had the same limits here. So what are you supposed to use? Char or varchar? Well, typically for, say, messages or long entries into a database, longer than a few characters, you should go with text. But if you're just going with something short, such as usernames, email accounts, and such like that, then I would go with char or varchar. As for the difference between char and varchar, that depends what you want to store. If you have an entry that will change over the entries, such as a name, everybody's name is not going to be the same amount of characters, then you will want to use varchar. But if you have something that will never change the amount of characters, then that's when you want to use char. It's pretty quickly, because I don't think it's necessary to have all this memorized before you start using a database. You can just figure this stuff out, and that's why I'm just teaching you the basics of everything. So the last 2 in this video will be enum and set. Now enum stands for enumeration, and basically you will use these when there's options, a set number of options. So let's say boy or girl. It has your sex for an entry, and the options are male or female. Please choose one, and I'm a male. So this would be an example of an enum. So let's just explain enum a little bit more. It allows you to choose one entry from a set option of 65,000. So let's say you could, for example, the state you live in, you can choose one out of the 50 states. Now set, on the other hand, that is another different data type that will allow you to choose more than one. So if you still live in one state while you live in the other, say you have 2 houses, then you can choose more than one. So there's set, which is 1 or more, and then enum, which is just 1 out of the set options. Now set only allows for 255 options, but there's actually a better method to do this, and that's database normalization, to give you more options to choose from. Now if you don't understand that, basically instead of having an entry where you can choose more than one, you should have a separate table storing that information. And if you want to know more about this, I made series over database normalization, and I've also made one over data types. Do you have to watch them for this? No, because you'll be getting this over the course of the series. Thank you for watching, and in the next video I'll be going over numbers. And I hope everything makes sense, and if it doesn't, you can ask me questions or ask me to explain things better. And I'll also be going over this again when we start programming a database, and it'll make a lot more sense when we're actually using it.